Hello, Dallas. Thank you for joining us today on the Trudeau Watch. In this episode, we are going to discuss the benefits of developing Canada's natural resources and what that means for Canadians, the environment, and the world. Perhaps the best democratic model Canada can imitate is that of the highly successful Norwegian state-owned oil fund, Equinor. While Trudeau's government is seemingly doing everything in their power to keep Canada from exporting our socially and environmentally responsible oil and gas resources, Norway has used their oil and gas resources to enrich the lives of their citizens, develop some of the world's best carbon capture technologies, and is hailed as one of the greenest places to live on the planet. Trudeau's government cancelled the Energy East pipeline that would have seen Western Canadian oil supply much of Eastern Canada's requirements. Instead, Eastern Canada imports oil along its east coast into Quebec from some of the world's worst human rights violators in Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Iran, and Iraq. We are all concerned about the environment, but the world is not slowing down on oil consumption anytime soon, and Canada is the world leader in responsible, environmentally friendly oil production. If Canada can't supply the world markets, then these dictatorships who are not environmentally responsible will supply the market. This will have a negative environmental impact worldwide. With this in mind, I'd like to introduce you to Dallas. Dallas, thank you for joining us today. Please share your message with our audience.
Good morning, Canada. Dallas here with Canadian Troll Farm. Just want to talk to you guys today about energy development within Canada and why it's important not only to us here, but to the world around us. As Russia and OPEC continue to clinch energy dominance worldwide, democracies are forced to use corrupt monarchies and dictators for their energy supply. Canadians sit on the third largest oil and gas reserve in the world, the lion's share of that being in landlocked Alberta. We also have the safest banking system on earth, ranked by the World Economic Forum as the safest from 2007 to 2013, and currently in the top 10 by every major analysis company. Our major 5 banks have survived every single financial disaster, including the Great Depression, from the time they were chartered. In that same time, 9,000 American banks have failed, while only 2 small regional banks of Canada have failed. RBC Bank has paid a dividend to its shareholders every single year since its charter in 1870. While very few companies in history can say this, if any, it's a testament to Canadian management skills. Given the policies and stipulations our energy sector has to work around, we are cutting edge in management and engineering on that front as well. On those 2 notes, Canada alone could hold a lot more geopolitical power through economic might as well as richer life for Canadians at home. For example, Germany signed a deal to twin the Nord Stream 2 pipeline from Russia and will now be providing the Germans with 50 to 75% of their natural gas depending on how the power grid adjusts to the market. So how can the German government ever truly denounce or even act upon any Russian aggression if they are dependent on them for power? Russia also dominates the exportation of nuclear reactors to developing nations, strapping them down to Russian diplomacy and trusting that there's no backdoors installed for Russian hackers to access and espionage and potentially perform other malicious activities on that country. Like this past August, when Russian hackers accessed the control rooms of U.S. utilities companies. Just imagine if they had the power to be able to shut off your electricity as they pleased. Or worse yet, turn a power plant into a giant bomb. And it's very difficult to prove it's them, as you've seen with the 2016 presidential election. We should be the ones supplying the free countries of the world with energy and electricity, as our values align and will only discourage the growth of communist dictators and monarchy rulers. We shouldn't embolden them with the economies they need to build powerful militaries that threaten our collective international security. With our far superior environmental and social standards, we could set precedents around the world in development of a sustainable, safe energy industry. Who knows how many spills or blowouts go unreported in countries like Russia and China, the number 2 and number 5 top producers in the world. A system some Canadians would like to mirror is the Norway model. So far, the Norwegian petroleum industry has not been the cause of any oil spills that have resulted in irreversible ecological damage. Also, no oil spill from the industry has ever reached the shoreline. Pretty impressive considering exploration started July 19th, 1966. Norway has created the world's first subsea gas compression plant. It has come online at about 1,000 feet underwater at the Asgard field in Norwegian Sea, and also world-leading development in carbon capture technologies between our 2 countries. Canada's current oil production per capita So barrels of oil a day per million people is 100,931, where Norway is at a whopping 313,661 barrels of goddamn oil per million people a day, surpassed only by Kuwait, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and the Saudis at 324,866. Keep in mind the OPEC members are subjective, as they will raise and lower their productions in unison. Essentially a cartel working against the Western world to make as much profit for themselves, and we pay as high a fuel prices as possible. What kind of lifestyle does those oil production afford the citizens, you might ask yourself? Well, socialists rejoice. Free healthcare and free universities, of course. They also house the world's most robust corrections facility. In Norway, wages are also strong. They have a minimum wage equivalency of $21 an hour, US. They have $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund for the citizens' future to diversify investments and revenue streams outside of their energy sector, and it's paying off. In 2017, the sovereign wealth fund produced $131 billion US for the people. While the fund retracted slightly in 2018, the benefit is set in stone long term. The moment you are born, you are technically a millionaire by the local currency, and they are also one of the richest populations in the world per capita, at 75,000 US dollars per person, opposed to Canada and the US, which neither has surpassed $50,000. Oslo, the capital city, is one of the greenest cities in the world. Norway's central banks have a lending rate of 0.5% prime interest rates, compared to our current 1.75%, making home ownership much cheaper in the country. Most of the country's electricity is produced from hydroelectricity. Norway is also one of the leading countries in electrifying its transport sector, with the largest fleets of electric vehicles per capita in the world. On top of that, they are also a world leader through their state-owned Equinor oil company, all this, of course, does come at a cost. Income taxes are high, the cost of living is expensive. In the wash of things, our lifestyles are rather relative. Only the Norwegians have the security that their lifestyles will be retained for the future. Through smart policy making, a state capitalist mentality, and strong, disciplined citizens that have never demanded the fund be tapped into, they've emerged as a world-leading sustainable energy nation, and also head the way in progressive social values, lots of equality, open sexual rights and preferences, and among the tightest gender pay gap in the world. The ironic thing is that geographically and politically, we are a lot like Norway. To a certain degree, you could say Canada is like Norway's big brother. Well, maybe it's time to start acting like it. I personally think so, and if you do too, please share with your friends and give us a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Tune in for more videos like this, uploaded for your viewing and informative pleasure.
This has been another edition of the Trudeau Watch. The True North, strong and free.